Hi, and welcome to the lesson. We're reviewing iReady Grade 4 Math, Stay-at-Home Packet, page 31. And on page 31, we are decomposing fractions. They give us a series of fractions, and we're looking at different ways of writing those. And what this does, it helps us understand how fractions work together, how we can take fractions apart and put them back together as parts of a whole in order to solve problems. So these are written in terms of, all of these are written in terms of addition problems. So we're looking at what fractions we can add together to get to some original fraction. And in each case, remember when we are adding fractions, we only have to add the numerators together. The denominator tells us how many pieces there are in a whole. We're not changing the size of those pieces. Each piece is going to still be the same size, so we're not changing the denominator at all. So if our first fraction is written in terms of fourths, all of the fractions in our equations are going to be in fourths. Some of these are pretty straightforward, like 3/4. If I have 1/4 plus 1/4, that's 2/4. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2/4 plus 1/4 is going to be 3/4. 1/4 plus 2/4 is going to be 3/4. Similar to the 7/8, if we need to, we can go ahead and create a model for that. And if we have 7/8, we can look at the different combinations that we would need to get to 7/8. For example, if we have 6/8, we can line it up and see that we need one more eighth. If it's only 5/8, we're going to need 2 more eighths to get to 7/8. If it's 4/8, we're going to need 3 more eighths to get to 7/8. So drawing a model can help you make those comparisons, and especially once we get down into a situation like number 3, where we have in what we call an improper fraction, where the numerator is greater than the denominator. So in that case, we actually have something larger than 1, and we're working with fifths. So we'll go ahead and stick with fifths. We have 6/5. So we have 1 whole plus another fifth. And how can we make that? Well, there are actually, there are potentially quite a few ways. If we have 3/5, okay, get a different color. If we have 3/5 and we're adding one thing to that, well, 1, 2, 3, we're going to need another 3/5. Number 6, though, is a little bit of a different situation. We only have 2/5, and we're looking for 2 more fractions that can get us to 6/5. Well, there are several ways we could potentially do that. We could have, we're going to need one more, looks like. We'll need 2 fractions. There are several ways that we can add up to 6/5. We already have 2, we need 4 more. So we could do, let's stick with, we could do 3/5 plus 1. We could do 2/5 plus 2/5. 2, 4, 6. So we have a couple of different options. For some of these problems, we can have more than one answer. So I would encourage you to use some sort of modeling. In this case, I used a rectangular area model, but you can also use a number line. If you're more comfortable with circles or squares, you can use those. But take a look at those problems, see what kind of modeling you come up with that works for you. Try to complete the rest of them on your own. And like I said, for some of them, there are probably more than one possible answer. So think about whether or not there's another way that you could answer it, if you can come up with another answer. So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me or to your homeroom teacher. And thank you for coming.